Damn, I love this John boy. Alright, y'all. Today we're going to be studying for the upcoming exam next week. Oh, yeah. Let's go. I'm locked in, bro. Who's watching, bro? Already? Someone here? Where's that cut? And no one's watching. Alright. Let me pull up my study tool. I think the... How's it hanging, bro? How's it hanging? I'm going to share the screen. Alright, y'all, today we're going to be doing the two best YouTube channels. Oh. No, I'm not watching that, bro. I gotta lock in. We got less than a week left to the exam. So, I honestly like watching Mr. Sin. He's pretty good. But I got like a better YouTube channel, to be honest. This guy, 10 Stedman.
Let me tell you, working on a game engine, there are so many different terms to keep track of, and that's where Grammarly's style guide comes.
How's it going, Internet? I'm Tim Stedman, and welcome to Get Psyched with Tim Stedman. You know, one of the things teaching psychology is that I can take a thought that pops into my head and easily relate it to whatever I'm talking about in class that day. Kind of like earlier while I was setting up my camera, I was thinking about how funny it is on TV shows when they bleep out all the bad words. Like, it isn't really the fact that these people are saying bad words on TV that I think is funny. It just gives me a good when I hear the noise in quick succession.
I'm gonna go shopping my pencil. Hello.
Are you live?
Yeah.
Yet? Oh. Wait, what?
Hilarious. We should probably go ahead and get by getting started with our Unit 1 review. Today, we're getting started with the first unit of AP Psychology, the biological basis. But for the sake of my job security, how about we take a look at the uncensored version of what I said just a few moments ago. Kind of like earlier while I was setting up my camera, I was thinking about how funny it is on TV shows when they bleep out all the bad words. Like, it isn't really the fact that these people are saying bad words on TV that I think is funny. It just gives me a real good chuckle when I hear the loud beep noise in quick succession. Flippin' hilarious. Anyways, we should probably go ahead and get educated by getting started with our Unit 1 review. You know,
Let me post my video that I'm watching. just because you guys want to watch. This guy's pretty underrated. He only has 31,000. 6 days left. No, it's 5 days left. Better cook.
Personally, I think the censored version is a bit more entertaining. Just imagine if I did that throughout the entire video. Oh man, that'd be pretty great. Now, if this is your first time tuning in, before watching this video, I highly recommend you checking out the... All right, guys, joke's over. Come on. If this is your first time tuning in, before watching this video, I highly recommend you checking out the review videos on the 4 AP Psych Science practices. In my grand opinion, and take it for what it's worth, it's a good idea to be comfortable with each of the science practices before learning the course content. You are expected to show an understanding of these practices throughout the entire course, so they are kind of a big deal. Unit 1 is going to look at how our biological structures, such as our brain and nervous system, have a
For
huge
me, I honestly
influence on our
think
behavior. We're going to get
Unit 1
started
is
with our
definitely the
review
hardest.
by taking a look at how our heredity
after
and
that, it
environment
goes Unit
interact with one another in
5,
order to influence our behaviors. Which
Unit
brings
2,
us to a
Unit 3, and
psychological
Unit
tale
4.
as old as
I
time,
think Unit 4 is
the nature versus
honestly
nurture.
the easiest.
Now, nature refers to the genetics
Honestly,
we
know
inherit
this,
from our
but I'm not gonna
parents.
write it
These
down.
include both physical and psychological traits, while nurture refers to our environmental influences and the experiences that will end up shaping us from when we were little babies all the way up through adulthood. Nature gives us our physical traits like hair color or height, while nurture provides us with the resources needed to shape our behaviors, develop our skills, and influence our personality. And while it is common to view this as a nature versus nurture, it is really more like nature and nurture, as they both are constantly interacting with one another in order to shape our behaviors. Charles Darwin's theory of evolution by natural selection explains how traits that enhance survival and reproductive success are more likely passed on to the next generation. Darwin's theory is going to help us understand why certain behaviors, even those that might seem pointless today, have persisted through human history. While evolutionary psychology offers valuable insights, it has also been unfortunately misused, as we have seen with eugenics, a movement aimed at improving the human population through selective breeding. Promoted in the early 20th century, eugenics led to enforced sterilizations and what people thought was justified discrimination, showcasing some of the darker sides of science. And believe it or not, the idea of eugenics was actually pretty strong in the US from the early 1900s to the 1930s. And this serves as just another reminder of the importance of maintaining ethical integrity in applying these various theories, a key component of science practice too. To further unpack the interaction between nature and nurture, psychologists use specific research strategies that isolate the influence of our genes and the environment. Twin studies involve studying identical twins under various conditions. Because of their identical genetic makeup, researchers can conclude that any difference in behavior is probably influenced by the environment. Adoption studies offer another layer of insight by studying the behaviors of children who are raised apart from their biological parents. This allows the psychologists to separate the influences of the home environment from genetic factors. And family studies look at generations within the same family, helping to identify how much trait might be influenced by inherited genetic factors versus environmental conditions. Now that we've taken a look at the interaction between our genetics and the environment, let's shift gears to understanding the core structure that makes it all possible, the body's primary communicator, the nervous system.
I guess I'll write this down just because. I don't know, it makes up the nerves or something. Network of nerves. All right, so the nervous system is basically like the nerves network of nerves and cells, which are also nerves that carries messages to and from the brain and spinal cord to various parts of the body. It coordinates voluntary and involuntary actions.
The nerve
The complex nerves, it controls the brain and the spinal cord. It gets us. Oh, okay. Neurons. It can network of nerves and cells that connects that gets messages to the brain and spinal cord. Right? And it controls involuntary and voluntary actions. I basically got that, right? Okay, let's keep on going.
is going to consist of two main parts: the
Central nervous system and is it sympathetic or autonomic?
system, peripheral nervous system.
Okay, I got it wrong.
The central nervous system, or CNS, contains our brain and spinal cord. The brain acts as the command center, processing incoming sensory data and coordinating responses. Meanwhile, the spinal cord functions as a crucial relay station, organizing and sending neural messages to various parts of the body. The peripheral nervous system, or PNS, oh, I'm immature. I mean, that one should have probably been censored. The peripheral nervous system, or PNS, includes all the nerve endings that branch out from the brain and spinal cord and extend throughout the body, including the organs, arms, and legs. The PNS transmits information to the CNS and also takes orders sent from the CNS. The peripheral nervous system can be broken down further into the somatic and autonomic nervous system. The somatic nervous system is responsible for processing our body.
Somatic is basically like not automatic stuff, I guess. Yeah. And this is like heartbeats, breathing, stuff like that.
Sensory information to the central nervous system. From practicing our dance moves in hopes of becoming viral sensation, to simple acts such as waving goodbye are all controlled by the somatic nervous system. The autonomic nervous system is responsible for our involuntary functions such as heart rate, digestion, and breathing. Now, I consider the autonomic system the unsung hero of the nervous system, constantly working hard in the background to make sure we maintain normal levels of functioning. The autonomic nervous system can be broken down further into the sympathetic and parasympathetic nervous system. The sympathetic nervous system is responsible for
Sympathetic nervous system. Sympathetic nervous system. So, I don't remember. I think parasympathetic speeds up. No. Parasympathetic is the opposite of sympathetic. So parasympathetic. What's the control? Oh, fire-flight response.
for your fight or flight response.
Oh, shit. Oh, just so stupid.
Activates when there is perceived threat, while your parasympathetic nervous system brings the body back to normal functioning.
Okay, yeah. So this is okay.
Once the perceived threat is on. All right, now that we have a basic understanding of the nervous system and its structures, next we're going to take a look at what's happening in the nervous system at the microscopic level. Neurons are going to be our nervous system's primary communication cells. These cells can be found all throughout the nervous system, including our brain, spinal cord, and the nerve endings throughout the body. Powered by electricity, the nearly 86 billion neurons in our bodies are responsible for sending neural messages and making sure this information gets to the right part of the body. It's important to know that neurons don't work alone. Glial cells, which outnumber the neuron 10 to 1, play a critical role in supporting the neuron. Glial cells are responsible for supporting, protecting, and providing.
I forgot what that was. No. Oh. Whatever. What? I think my stuff is here. What? Oh, it's not. They are essential. For maintaining the environment in which neurons function. When was the last time I did live? That's actually crazy. Yo. Yeah, I did commit actually. So since this, I was gonna make a video on it, but what are you doing? What are you doing? You're mad weird, bro. Goofy odd cousin. Yeah, so I was saying I did commit to the school. So I had like two. I know it's not like the. Yo, I just leave. You guys are pissing me off. Get away. Go away.
No.
Get out. You're done. So what I was saying was I did commit. So like the plan was I was gonna go to UIUC, but I got waitlisted. It's just so stupid. But I get into UConn. It's about like $30,000 a year, but it's not too bad because I was considering it, and like other people were saying that people that were going to UIUC at my school, they were paying around that too. So the only issue is the housing and also how far away it is. Other than that, yeah, it's pretty good. Last week I was taking AP Bio. I'm pretty sure I failed that John though. I'm not gonna lie. So next week I have AP Lang on Monday and then AP Psych on Friday. I'm just not really gonna study for AP Lang. How are you even supposed to study? I might study, but I'm not gonna study that much. I'm focusing more on this. Yeah, thanks. Yeah, but yeah, I'm good. How are you doing? Doing good? Yeah, that's actually crazy. When I was doing the college app videos, I actually had so many viewers. But I appreciate you for tuning in. I'm pretty sure like next week. No, the week after we're gonna do some more live streams. Like, so let me yeah. Um, I'm gonna just tell you. So some video ideas I had were, so there's a show that I just recently finished. You, I was gonna do tier list on that. I don't know if you've heard of it. It's like a serial killer show. It has like 5 seasons, and then I was gonna do a tier list of characters or like the episodes. I don't know if that would do good, but I was thinking of that. And also, so I don't really have that many viewers. So I was thinking of doing a, what was it? I was gonna ask ChatGPT, and then what I was gonna do was basically I was gonna do Would You Rather, but I was gonna ask ChatGPT like for a live stream, like give me some tips and whatnot. Those are like the two main ideas I have, and then for like other videos, probably just like I was thinking like cooking, because I think those do pretty well. I think Mike's gonna pop out the chat, so I can look at the chat while I'm doing it. Is that how it works? Yeah, that looks good. That's a live stream look now. Yeah, it still looks normal. Okay.
Nourishment for neurons, as well as cleaning up waste in the nervous system. Understanding the anatomy of a neuron is also important in understanding how neurons are able to communicate important messages throughout the nervous system.
Right?
Starting at the core of the neuron, we have, which is going to contain the neuron's genetic
The SAT. Did you take that yet? Or?
information. You can think of it kind of like the brain of the cell surrounding the nervous system. Starting at the core of the neuron, we have the nucleus, which is going to contain the neuron's genetic information. You can think of it kind of like the brain of the cell. Surrounding the nucleus, we have our cell body or soma. The cell body provides structural support for the neuron and
No, I wish you luck. I'm sure you do okay though. I mean, good, not okay. You'll probably get the score that you want. Maybe a little lower, maybe a little higher. But I think you got it. Yeah. You seem like a smart guy. What the? Let me just turn off my phone.
processes the needed to energize the cell. Branching off of the cell body, we have the dendrites, which are responsible for receiving incoming messages from other neurons. The long tail-like structure of the neuron is the axon, which is responsible for sending information to the next neuron. And wrapping around the axon, we have what is...
Yeah, okay. See you later.
the myelin sheath.
Have a
The
good
myelin
day,
sheath is
and
actually made up of
good luck
glial
on
cells
24.
wrapping around the axon of the neuron. By doing this, the neural messages are able to travel at faster speeds. Our nervous system has 3 different types of neurons, all with specific responsibilities. Sensory neurons located throughout the peripheral nervous system are responsible for collecting information, ability, wrapping around, like the nucleus, which is going to contain the neuron's genetic information. You can think of it kind of like the brain of the cell. Surrounding the nucleus, we have our cell body or soma. The cell body provides structural support for the neuron and processes the nutrients needed to energize the cell. Branching off of the cell body, we have the dendrites, which are responsible for receiving incoming messages from other neurons. The long tail-like structure of the neuron is the axon, which is responsible for important messages throughout the nervous system. Starting at the core of the neuron, we have the nucleus, which is going to contain the neuron's genetic information. You can think of it kind of like the brain of the cell. Surrounding the nucleus, we have our cell body or soma. The cell body provides structural support for the neuron and processes the nutrients needed to energize the cell. Branching off of the cell body, we have the dendrites, which are responsible for receiving incoming messages from other neurons. The long tail-like structure of the neuron is the axon, which is responsible for sending information to the next neuron. And wrapping around the axon, we have what is called the myelin sheath. The myelin sheath is actually made up of glial cells wrapping around the axon of the neuron. By doing this, the neural messages are able to travel at faster speeds. Our nervous system has 3 different types of neurons, all with specific responsibilities. Sensory neurons located in the peripheral nervous system are responsible for collecting information from our various senses, sending this information to the brain. While motor neurons, also located through the peripheral nervous system, are responsible for carrying out motor actions sent from the brain, allowing us to control our muscles and movements. These neurons are also responsible for releasing hormones throughout the body. And finally, we have interneurons. Interneurons outnumber our sensory and motor neurons and are located in the central nervous system. Interneurons are responsible for directing messages throughout the entire nervous system. The reflex arc is going to be a reflexive response that will show us how these 3 neurons work together within our nervous system. Now, to explain the reflex arcs, we are going to get some help from our good buddy Doug.
Monday CRM has the best AI features in the game,
especially in sales.
hands down.
So for me, email composition.
All right, what's up, Doug? So, you ready? All right, so while preparing for dinner, Doug accidentally placed his hand on the hot stove. As soon as his hand touches the stove, he reflexively jerks it away due to the pain. Well, what's happening in Doug's nervous system for this action to occur? As soon as Doug's hand touches the hot stove, he will reflexively move it before even processing the pain. As soon as the extreme heat from the stove makes contact with skin, the signal of pain then beelines it to the spinal cord, where it is quickly handed off to the interneurons. Interneurons in the spinal cord instantly process these signals as being a pain response and will actually skip going to the brain as a neural message normally would. Instead, these interneurons will send a message directly to the motor neurons located in Doug's hand and arm, causing him to reflexively move his hand from the dangerous stimulus, all without any input from the brain. And how exactly are these neurons able to send messages? Well, I am glad you asked. When a neuron receives stimulation, it fires off an action potential, which is just an electrical charge that is collected by the dendrites and cell body and sent down the axon. To produce an action potential, the neuron must receive enough stimulation for a message to be sent. This is known as the neuron stimulus threshold. The all or nothing principle states that a neuron can do one of 2 things: receive enough stimulation for an action potential to occur, or it doesn't receive enough and an action potential does not occur. There's no halfway. Kind of obvious. After a neuron fires a message, it enters a refractory period, which is pretty much when a neuron quickly recharges its batteries. During this time, the neuron is unable to send a message. After the neuron is recharged, it remains at the resting potential, ready to send its next message. When an action potential reaches the axon, the neuron releases chemicals to transmit the message to the next neuron. After the transmission, these chemicals are reabsorbed through a process called reuptake, allowing them to be reused and conserving the body's resources. Now, this process is not always flawless, and when there are issues with our neural transmission, it can lead.
Oh, is that a bird outside? That's so weird. Eight views? It's not bad. Oh, I have 2 viewers now? What the hell? Who's in here? Let's see. Let's go. Oh.
A neuron quickly recharges its batteries. During this time, the neuron is unable to send a message. After the neuron is recharged, it remains at the resting potential, Righty is unable to send pretty much after a neuron up and even enough fold, the all or nothing for a message to be sent. This is known as the neuron stimulus threshold.
This is basically all in. No, this is the minimum. I don't even know what it's called. Minimum threshold.
The all or nothing principle states that a neuron can do one of two things: receive enough stimulation for an action potential to occur, or it doesn't receive enough and an action potential does not occur. There's no halfway. Kind of obvious. After a neuron fires a message, it enters a refractory period, which is pretty much when a neuron quickly recharges its batteries. During this time, the neuron is unable to send a message. After the neuron is recharged, it remains at the resting potential, ready to send its next message. When an action...
Okay, so refractory period is before resting potential. And then it's reuptake. And then this is where it actually
potential reaches the axon, the neuron releases chemicals to transmit the message to the next neuron. After the transmission, these chemicals are reabsorbed through a process called reuptake, allowing them to be reused and conserving the body's resources. Now, this process is not always flawless, and when there are issues with our neural transmission, it can lead to issues that can impact our daily lives. Multiple sclerosis and myasthenia gravis are both autoimmune disorders where the white blood cells attack the body's neurons. Among other symptoms, both of these disorders lead to issues with muscle weakness and fatigue, as well as the loss of mobility. As we mentioned earlier, the axon terminal of a neuron contains various chemical messengers. These chemical messengers are called neurotransmitters, and they control virtually every aspect of your life. When neurotransmitters relay messages, they can be either excitatory or inhibitory. Excitatory messages increase brain activity by triggering more action potentials, while inhibitory messages slow down brain activity, preventing further action potentials.
Okay, excitatory is increase.
Often called the feel-good neurotransmitter, dopamine is crucial for our pleasure and reward systems. It influences mood, attention, and movement, and is often linked to addiction. Now here's where I put my money where my mouth is and show you how just about anything can be related to psychology, including point on censoring language at the start of this video. So dopamine plays a key role in how we experience humor, particularly when there's an element of surprise or expectation. When you hear the your brain's dopamine pathways are activated because there's an expectation of hearing something inappropriate or funny. This release of dopamine contributes to the feeling of amusement as the brain enjoys the process of anticipating and then experiencing something unexpected or out of the ordinary. Being part of the reward system, dopamine influences us to constantly seek out things that give us pleasure. Kind of like me obsessively checking my YouTube subscriber numbers.
That's me. Low-key, that's me.
Daddy, come play with me.
I'm busy!
It's crazy. This guy only has 6,000 subscribers.
So, if you want to give me a little dopamine boost, how about you hit that subscribe button? Help me keep riding that dopamine high. It would make me so happy. So happy that my brain would just flood with another neurotransmitter known as serotonin. So serotonin is going to help regulate our mood, appetite, and sleep. A lack of serotonin is usually linked to symptoms of depression. Norepinephrine is going to affect our level of alertness and arousal. This neurotransmitter is very similar to our hormone of adrenaline, and by far one of the most abundant neurotransmitters we have.
Oh, not these. These are literally the worst. Norepinephrine. Okay. These are actually the worst. Norepinephrine. First fight or flight. Anxiety, panic, ADHD. All right.
Glutamate is going to be an excitatory neurotransmitter that is critical for normal brain functions as it is heavily involved in regulating our cognitive functions.
Glutamate, excitatory. So increasing, yeah. So basically, this is an excitatory, like in like excitement, but this is like excitatory, like excitatory neurotransmitters or whatever that's called. Excitatory neurotransmitter. Crucial for
Such as learning and memory, pretty important things. GABA, or gamma-aminobutyric acid, is a major inhibitory neurotransmitter which has the main responsibility of slowing down brain activity by reducing the amount of action potentials occurring. GABA lets your neurons know when it's time to take a break. Our body's natural painkillers are the endorphins. Endorphins help us reduce our pain and have these natural the amount of action potential. It has the main responsibility
Get alcohol before bed. I don't even know what that means. Oh, inhibitory. Okay, this one's basically get alcohol before bed is meaning alcohol and that's antidepressants, and this slows down your brain. So yeah, that makes sense. GABA, it's basically the opposite of mate. I don't even know if that's how you say it. What the? Hi. Bruh. Oh, well, why am I doing that? My bad. That's a bit weird. Sorry, I just wanted to look at something. My bad. How are you doing? Inhibitory. No, it says inhibitory. Inhibitory neurotransmitter. Okay. Regulates anxiety. Tomorrow? I thought it was on Friday. Yeah. To be honest, I think if I took it right now, I'd probably get like a 3. Maybe a little more studying. I might get like a 4. I'm hoping for a 4, to be honest. Regulates anxiety. Okay.
slowing down brain activity by reducing the amount of action potentials occurring. GABA lets your neurons know when it's time to take a break. Our body's natural painkillers are the endorphins.
Okay, natural painkillers, endorphins. Honestly, I'm just writing the gist of this because I don't even know how am I even gonna remember all this stuff, bro. It's tough.
Help us reduce our response to pain and has feelings of pleasure and happiness. Next up,
What?
we have substance P, or
What,
substance
Vegas?
pain,
No
as I
way.
like to call it, which is going to be responsible for regulating, well,
That's crazy.
pain. When substance P is released, we feel responsible for substance
What is
P,
it?
or substance pain, as I like to call it, which is going to be responsible for
Substance
regulating, well,
pain.
you guessed it, pain. When C is released, we feel pain, letting us know that something is wrong in our body. And our final neurotransmitter that we will be pain, letting us know that
Pain and inflammation. Pain and inflammation. I don't even remember all this, by the way.
something is wrong in our body. And our
You know
final
what? I feel it's
neurotransmitter that we
definitely
will be
always
discussing,
not. I don't know why.
acetylcholine, is responsible
The
for
brain stuff
stimulating
like
muscle
that.
contraction.
Acetylcholine. It's like speed up or something. I honestly don't remember. Acetylcholine. Muscle contraction, learning. I don't even know what this one means, bro. What even is this?
And it also plays a role in our attention and memory. When the axon of a neuron sending a message links up the dendrites of a neuron willing to receive a message, neural transmission can occur. We refer to the neuron that sends the message as the presynaptic neuron, while the neuron that receives the message will be the postsynaptic neuron. Now, it's important to note that
I don't even remember all this. I'm gonna be honest. Hopefully.
the neurons don't actually touch. Instead, they form a tiny fluid-filled gap known as the synapse. The synapse is going to be the direct point of communication between two neurons. Neurotransmitters are generally stored in
What is it called? Synapse? And where's the break? What's the break called again? I don't even remember.
synaptic vesicles that are at the end of a neuron's axon. When an action potential occurs and the electrical energy reaches synaptic vesicles,
The synapse
it forces the
is basically just the
neurotransmitters
middle.
out of the neuron and into the synapse. Located on the dendrites of the postsynaptic neuron are receptor sites tailored to specific neurotransmitters.
Dendrites
When a
and
matching neurotransmitter
dendrites
binds to a receptor, it can
receives a
either
message.
inhibit or excite the neuron. Exciting it
What's the
triggers
other
an
one?
action potential in the postsynaptic neuron, while inhibiting it keeps the neuron in its resting state.
Yeah,
Once neural communication is complete, the
I don't
neurotransmitters
remember.
are reabsorbed back into their synaptic vesicles in a process we know as reuptake. Now, it's also important to know that neurotransmitters are not the only form of chemical messengers in our body that impact our behavior. Working closely with the nervous system, hormones or chemical messengers in the endocrine system also influence our behavior. The endocrine system, which is responsible for regulating our hormones, is going to be controlled by an area of the brain known as the hypothalamus and its right-hand gland from the endocrine system, the pituitary gland. Right-hand gland. See what I did there? That's a good one. Adrenaline is a hormone that plays a huge role in our fight or flight response. When released, it rapidly prepares your body to spring into action by increasing your heart rate, blood pressure, and energy supplies. Leptin is released by our fat cells and helps with regulating our energy balance by telling our body when to stop eating, suppressing our appetite. On the reverse end, the hunger hormone, or ghrelin, is released into the stomach to stimulate our appetite. It pretty much serves the opposite purpose of leptin by making us hungry when our body needs more energy. Next up, my favorite hormone, melatonin, which is going to be released by the pineal gland when it starts to get dark outside, helping to prepare us for sleep in the morning as the sun starts to rise.
Oh my gosh, bro.
Right-hand gland. See what I did there? That's a good one. Adrenaline is a hormone that plays a huge role in our fight or flight response. When released, it rapidly prepares your body to spring into action by increasing your heart rate, blood pressure, and energy supplies. Leptin is released by our fat cells and helps with regulating our energy balance by telling our body when to stop eating, suppressing our appetite. On the reverse end, the hunger hormone, or ghrelin, is released into the stomach to stimulate our appetite. It pretty much
greedy for food, less food. That makes sense, right? Leptin basically just means you're gonna get eating less food. It's like your appetite. Ghrelin. makes sense. Oh, there's still one viewer. Who's watching? She's watching me.
Much serves the opposite purpose of leptin by making us hungry when our body needs more energy. Next up, my favorite hormone, melatonin,
So
which is
sleep.
going to be released by the pineal gland when it starts to get dark outside, helping to prepare us for sleep. In the morning, as the sun starts to rise, melatonin production starts to
Oxytocin is
decrease,
love
preparing
hormone.
us to
What's
wake up.
the hormone?
And finally, we have oxytocin, sometimes called the love hormone. Oxytocin plays a significant role in social bonding and reproduction. It is released as a result of physical touch and is thought to reduce stress while improving our overall emotional well-being. So we've talked all about how our natural body chemicals can influence our behavior, but what about outside substances? Psychoactive drugs are going to be substances that alter our brain function, resulting in temporary changes in perception, mood, consciousness.
Well, I know.
Stop using ChatGPT and
Those are
Google.
easy.
Trust me when I tell you, professors are going to notice you use ChatGPT for your research. Why? Because it uses AI-generated facts
And behavior. These drugs work by influencing neurotransmitter activity in the brain, either by working as an agonist and mimicking the effects of natural neurotransmitters, or acting as an antagonist to stop chemicals from binding to a receptor site. We also have reuptake inhibitors that block the process of reuptake to increase.
Oh, agonist. Antagonist does not block. No, it does block. Okay. Antagonist blocks because enemy, right? And then agonist lets it go. And a reuptake inhibitor lets it go. I don't understand. A substance that blocks reuptake neurotransmitter presynaptic neuron. What the frick? Okay, agonist and agonist are basically the same thing, but reuptake inhibitor, right? So so basically reuptake inhibitor is just something completely different. I don't even know. Bro, what? Effective neurotransmitter. This receptor and mimics or enhances. Okay, this is increases effects. This is so antagonist would be a depressant, and I'm guessing reuptake inhibitor would be something like the hallucinogen, right? Let me search that up. Is reuptake inhibitor? Oh, wait, it says it's probably antagonist, if anything. Yeah, it is antagonist. This reuptake inhibitors hallucinogen. No, I'm freaking dumbass. This is a hallucinogen. Alright, so I was wrong. I really thought I did something, didn't I? What am I doing here? Okay.
The levels of a specific neurotransmitter in the brain. A common take inhibitor, SSRIs, work by blocking the reuptake
What
of
the hell is
serotonin
SSRI?
like
I don't think we ever
stimulants such as
that.
caffeine and cocaine increase brain
Stimulant,
activity,
that's
resulting
an
elevated
antag-
levels
no,
of
that's an
alertness,
agonist.
attention, and energy. Depressants like alcohol tend to slow down central nervous system
That's
activity,
the
which can lead
antagonist.
to decreased anxiety, inhibition, and motor skills. Even a moderate amount
So
of
I
alcohol can
guess
affect our
my-
cognitive
so I
functions
guess,
and
like-
mood. Hallucinogens impact the nervous system, altering perceptions, moods, and thoughts. And believe it or not, marijuana is classified as a hallucinogen.
That's
Opioids
pretty
such as
dumb.
heroin are known for their strong pain-relieving properties and euphoric effects. Opioids from outside substances bind
Euphoria.
onto our brain's opioid receptors, significantly increasing our dopamine levels, which can lead to severe addiction. Addiction is going to be a chronic condition brought on by repeated
these are
drug
easy.
seeking
I don't
and
need to
use,
pay attention.
despite the harmful consequences associated with taking the drug. Addiction impacts several areas of functioning, including physical health, relationships, and school or work life. Continuous drug use, the brain begins to adapt, meaning the original drug dose is taken does not produce the same effects as before, and as a result, more of the substance is needed to achieve the same effect, causing the individual taking the drug to build up a tolerance. Withdrawal symptoms are experienced after developing a physical dependence on a substance and then stopping its use. These symptoms, which can be physical or psychological, range from mild to life-threatening,
These are easy as
depending
well.
on the substance and the duration of use. All right, so we've been talking a lot about how different chemicals or substances impact our brain, but haven't really talked about the actual brain that much. So how about we uncover the mysteries of the brain's structures and functions by taking a quick guided tour of the brain. Starting at the base of the brain, we have the brainstem. The medulla, located at the bottom of the brainstem, is responsible for controlling automatic functions such as breathing, heart rate, and blood pressure. It is essentially the brain's autopilot system. The cerebellum, often referred to as the little brain, the automatic saying that much. So how about we uncover the mysteries of the brain's structures and functions by taking a quick guided tour of the brain. Starting at the base of the brain, we have brainstem. The medulla, located at the bottom of the brainstem, is responsible for controlling automatic functions such as breathing, heart.
Neural signals between brain and spinal cord. I'm basically like recalling the information right now. Recall. Here than learning. No, it's relearning. Yeah, I think it's relearning. And the medulla does automatic functions. Automatic functions. I'm low-key gonna get some water, guys. I'll be back. I'll be quick. Oh. No new comments. Do we got any viewers? Hey, we got 2 viewers. What's up, guys? Oh, we got 1 viewer. What's up, person?
Blood pressure. It is essentially the brain's autopilot system. The cerebellum, often referred to as the little brain due to its shape, is located just behind the brainstem and is responsible for our motor control, coordinating voluntary movements such as posture, balance, and even helping with speech. The reticular activating system, or RAS, is a network of
Reticular activating system.
neurons starting in the brainstem and branching 3-corner of the brain, is responsible for regulating our sleep-wake cycle and our attention. Bordering the brainstem, we have the
Regulating sleep-wake cycle and attention. Oh, are you studying biology? No, I'm studying psychology. I already did this biology exam was last week. Actually, I really struggled on the biology exam because I don't really study. This is actually like the hardest part of psychology, literally the biology, because I know like biology is important and all, but I don't really like biology. It's so boring, bro. Maybe I just need like a different way to learn it. Maybe I think I'm more like visual learner. That's what I don't know. But yeah, I'm studying for the psychology and it's next Friday. What does it say? Sleep.
regulating our sleep-wake cycle and
Wake cycle and attention, right? Sleep-wake cycle and attention. Reticular activating system, size. So basically, the reticular activating system regulates sleep-wake cycle and attention. That's basically the gist, right?
And our attention. Bordering the brainstem, we have the emotional center of the brain, our limbic system. Located primarily in the limbic system, the brain's rewards.
So are you doing specialization? I don't really understand what you're saying about that. If you're saying like major, yeah, I guess I'm majoring in psychology. What you're asking? No. In high school. I'm a senior. But I probably will be though. I probably am gonna do a master's in psychology because I want to be a therapist.
Center is limbic system, located primarily in the limbic system, of the brain, and our attention. Bordering the brainstem, we have the emotional center of the brain, our limbic system. Located primarily in the limbic system, the brain's reward center is going to calculate and respond to rewards, playing a critical role in decision making and addictive calculus. Bordering is responsible for regulating our sleep-wake cycle and our attention. Bordering the brainstem, we have the emotional center of the brain, our limbic system.
Emotional center is limbic system. Emotional. So basically, the limbic system is the emotional side of the brain. I'm not. Have you watched? I'm not sure if you've been. I think maybe was like last year you were in one of my live streams, or am I tripping? I could be tripping. Hey, I swear I saw your name one time. No? Oh. You weren't. Oh, that's my bad then. Well, I'm just live streaming today. Alright. I'm trying to be YouTube famous. I think it's gonna take a while though. Cause like I live streamed like a few times no, I think this is like my first time actually live streaming this year actually. Last year I did like 5 to 6 live streams. Your mom must be proud of you. Yeah, I don't know if she says she's proud of me. I mean, I guess. How much lives? Here, let me actually. So last year I was working on college apps, and then I did 4 of those live streams. And I did like a tier list live stream, and then did a 2-minute sleeping live stream. So that's like 4, 5, 6. I think I did one more or something else last year too. I don't remember what it was. So it was like 7, yeah. Yeah, it was around 5 to 10. Wow. Yeah, I'm gonna be honest with you guys. I'm like, honestly, I find like I used to be pretty smart, and like the real problem, like I don't really know how to study. I'm literally just here watching this video. I think it might help, but I don't know. We'll see next week though. Next week.
Located primarily in the limbic system, the brain's reward center is going to calculate and respond to rewards, playing a critical role in decision making and addictive behaviors. The thalamus acts as the brain's sensory relay.
What's the thalamus again? I literally forgot.
critical role in decision making and addictive behaviors. The thalamus acts as the brain's sensory relay station, channeling incoming sensory information to the appropriate areas of the brain. Smell is going to be the only sense that is not processed by the
sensory relay information. Thalamus. Oh, thank you, Promdi. That's like low-key like popping today. I mean, a little bit. We got 4 different viewers. What? See what? What? Since thalamus is sensory information. Except smell? Smell.
the appropriate areas of the brain. Smell is going to be the only sense that is not processed by the thalamus. The hypothalamus is a tiny but powerful area located.
So I'm guessing the hypothalamus. Who's she? Your sis? Nah. That was. Are you talking about earlier? Zachary. No, that was my cousin.
Just below the thalamus. It is responsible for regulating vital life functions such as hunger, thirst, temperature, and emotional responses. Now, I want you to listen careful here because what I'm going to say next is not my words. It comes from a college-level neuroscience textbook. Next, thirst, temperature, and emotional responses. Now, I want you
Hunger, thirst, temperature, and emotion. Yeah, so let's talk about something with you guys. Is there still 3 viewers? No, still just 2 people. Next week it's basically the last week of school because I got 2 exams next week, and that's basically it. I think I got like 1 math test too, and then I got 3 more days after that, so it's 8. The week after next week, I only got 3 days, and then that Friday is going to be graduation. So I got less than 2 weeks until graduation, which is pretty exciting. Yeah. I'm excited to graduate.
You listen careful here because what I'm going to say next is not my words. It comes from a college-level neuroscience textbook. I repeat, not my words, but a very solid tip on how to remember the hypothalamus.
Where's his sis? Bro. Hold on, give me a second.
Yeah, do you want veggie chips?
Doctor, come over here. Come over here. All right, so they wanted to see you. It's right here. See, because you were in the
So basically, when you
earlier,
think
right?
of the hypothalamus, just think of
You're in the live stream earlier, right? I said, who's she? Your sis.
What?
You're looking at a girl, huh? See, they're talking to you. Where? Are you asking where am I from? I'm from China.
I don't know.
Is she a girl? Yeah, she is.
No. No.
No, Um, yeah, he kind of acts like a girl, so I guess it makes sense.
No.
Nice shirt. Oh, thanks.
Of the 4 F's of survival: fighting, fleeing,
What even is
feeding,
this?
and f***ing. All right. Literally, I said mating. I said mating. I literally said mating. I'm starting to think that someone's out to get me.
Huh?
Now people are watching.
It says 1 or 2. It's just them.
MaxFly, ranked as the most underrated ball by My Golf Spy, back on all major US tours and played by.
As we mentioned earlier, the hypothalamus also controls the pituitary gland, which is considered the master gland of the endocrine system.
So you're from China? Yeah, I'm from China. I wasn't born there. My parents were here before. Were in the U.S. before I was born. Your sister's cute. Oh, thanks. And the U.S.? Yeah, I'm from the U.S.
System influencing other glands in the body. It plays a role in regulating growth.
Where are you guys from? Oh, I've been streaming for more than an hour now. It's crazy. Whew.
Growth, metabolism, and reproduction.
Master gland regulates growth.
In the body. It plays a role in regulating growth, metabolism, and reproduction. The primary function of our hippocampus is going to be to create new memory, metabolism, and reproduction.
So in the USA, which place are you from? I'm from Illinois. But if you're asking where I was born in New York.
Primary function of our hippocampus.
Mm-hmm.
Is going to be to create new memories. The
Yeah,
hippocampus allows our
new
current thoughts to be
memories.
saved in our brain so we can retrieve them later on. A small almond-shaped cluster of neurons known as our brain is going to be regulating growth, metabolism, and reproduction.
I see you. Yeah, I guess you do see me. I am live streaming right now. Yes, you do.
The primary function of our hippocampus is going to be to create.
Don't look outside the window. Oh, nah. You need to stop playing with me. What's outside? I don't even know what's outside. Still pretty bright out. Oh yeah, if you guys want to watch, so basically this whole year I've been making a vlog every Friday. And what time in the US? Right now it's 2:54. So I'm basically making my last year of high school. And basically, what I'm doing is like 254. Yeah. Um, and it basically was basically from the drive home. I just like talk about what I'm doing. Like did that week, and I'm basically done to the last two videos. And maybe if you guys want to watch next week, that'd be chill. Honestly, it's not. It's like it's not exciting content. It's what you know. I think it's mainly just for like for myself, because I don't really this year I wanted to make more videos, but obviously I don't have that much time. So like, I think to be honest, like as everything, if I wanted to go like be big on YouTube, I gotta like be consistent. And every week is like a. So that's what I've been doing. Yeah, let me know if you guys have any video ideas down. I could definitely write them down, and because I'm definitely open to new ideas. Also, live stream idea. Stream like I show speed. What would I even do though? What would I like? I don't even have like You're gonna be for sure. Thanks, dude. Yeah. What am I? What what does Speed even do? I mean, he used to play like basketball or whatever, like the game or whatever, right? Or like MLB or whatever. What is it even called? I'm not really, to be honest, I don't really know that sports stuff. He used to do that. I think right now he usually just does audio streams.
Memories, the hippocampus, reproduction. The primary
Nah, you are funny, dude.
function of our hippocampus
Meowing, bro. Meow, meow, meow. This is so good. Don't you play any sports? Yeah. Okay, so since sophomore year, I've been doing. You guys know what track and field is, right? I'm basically like just like a sprinter. Honestly, I'm not that good. Um, the only reason why I'm doing it is basically just because I'm trying to trying to stay fit, lose some weight. That's what I basically do. And even then, that's almost over. And no, I don't really play any sports. Maybe I could learn. Because to be honest, like, yeah, yeah. I tried, like, let's say if there was any sport I would be good at, it'd probably be maybe like, you should play sports. Yeah. It keeps you fit. Yeah, I know, I know. I try my best. Honestly, I exercise probably every other day. It should probably be every day, but I'm working on it. The main thing, honestly, I need to work on is definitely endurance. And endurance is probably do weightlifting or wrestling. Yeah, I could definitely do weightlifting. I don't know about wrestling though. Wrestling always seemed kind of like weird for me. It's like I'm not trying to do wrestling. I mean, no offense, but it's a little weird. So yeah, hippocampus, right? Hippocampus is brain, and it does peace. Yeah, peace. I hope you subscribe, and yeah, I'll see you next time. Hippocampus is basically makes new memories or something like that.
This is got memories. The hippocampus allows our current thoughts to be saved in our brains.
Can you do gang signs? No, I can't. What are like gang signs like this? I'll just like make some stuff up. I don't even know, bro. How's that? No, I know some jutsu. Damn, I would really like to see that, but I believe you. Though I believe you.
So we can retrieve them later on. A small almond-shaped cluster of neurons known as the amygdala is going to play a key role in processing.
Oh yeah, amygdala is one of the easiest ones. Amygdala is emotions. Is it mainly sadness or whatever?
Emotional aspects of our memory, as well as our emotional responses, specifically our fear and pleasure responses. Next up, we are moving to the most advanced area of the brain, dealing with all of our complex thoughts and functions, the cerebral cortex. Our cerebral cortex is divided by the left and right hemisphere, with the corpus callosum being the bridge that connects them.
Cerebral cortex. You watch anime? I do actually. I watch a lot of anime. Um, Obviously you guys see my profile picture, right? That's I'm not sure if that's my. Hmm? Yeah, really. I'm not sure if that's my favorite character, but that's my favorite series. Yeah, Gintama. Yeah, yeah. You know it? That's my favorite anime series. I'm on like the last arc. I missed it though. But yeah, I really like it. If like web series, maybe you're talking about like webtoon, um, or if you're talking about manga, 50. Yeah, I think I've watched over 52 around there. I'm not sure though. But for manga, I really like my favorite is probably Tokyo Ghoul. I haven't finished that either. And my favorite webtoon is probably How to Fight. Yeah, I'm a nerd in like some aspects. You're not like in the. I don't really know how to say that.
All of our complex thoughts and
Tokyo
functions.
Ghoul? Yeah, yeah.
Cerebral
Tokyo
cortex.
Ghoul is
Our
really
cerebral
good.
cortex is divided by the left and right hemisphere, with the corpus callosum being the dealer and pleasure responses. Next up, we are moving to the most advanced area of the brain.
I'm going to sleep now. Good night. Yeah. Yeah. Good night. Have a good rest of your night, and hope you sleep well. And also, hope to see you next time. Do some gang signs for you. How's that?
Brain, dealing with all of our complex thoughts and functions, the cerebral cortex. Our cerebral cortex is divided by the left and right
Did
hemisphere.
you study well? Yeah. Thank you. I will. I'll try to study well. Berserk? I've heard of Berserk, but I haven't watched Berserk. I mean, or read it. I probably should though, but yeah, it's definitely like on my list, but I haven't seen it though. It's traumatizing. Yeah, I've heard that. Never watched that? Okay. Wait, so what's your favorite? What's your favorite anime then?
Up, we are moving to the most advanced area of the brain, dealing with all of our
Yeah, 3
complex
to 4
thoughts and
days is
functions,
crazy.
the cerebral cortex. Our cerebral cortex divided by the left and right hemisphere, with the corpus callosum being the bridge that connects them. The occipital.
Yeah, what's your fave? Naruto? Yeah, I definitely like Naruto. My favorite character is Obito. I really like Obito because I feel like his backstory is really good, and then character development, especially like towards the end of the series.
Occipital lobe, located at the back of the brain, is primarily
Yeah,
responsible for
Obito
visual
Uchiha.
processing, interpreting everything that we see. The temporal lobe, conveniently located
So occipital lobe.
visual processing,
Yeah,
interpreting
yeah.
everything that we see. The temporal is primarily responsible for visual processing,
So occipital lobe is visual processing. So what about you? What about you? Do you live in the U.S.? Where do you live? No, yeah, I was just asking what country you live in. I'm just curious. Occipital lobe is visual processing.
interpreting
And
everything that we see. The temporal
I
lobe
think temporal lobe is what's temporal? Is it hearing?
conveniently located right above our ears, deals with interpreting auditory information.
Okay, I knew it. Hearing.
And sounds. The parietal lobe,
Parietal lobe. Ooh, what's parietal lobe? Is that touch? I don't know.
positioned at the top of the brain, processes sensory signals from various parts of the body, making it crucial for spatial orientation and navigation.
Okay, so parietal lobe is sensory information. I'm from India. Oh, India. Oh, bye. Well, I'll be seeing you then, or not. But enjoy the rest of your day or night. Good sir, or good person. Bye.
And our last lobe, the largest lobe in the brain, our frontal lobe, is
What's from
responsible for decision making, problem solving, planning,
decision making? That's easy enough.
and controlling speech and motor movements. Now, located within our lobes are several specialized areas of the brain, all with very specific functions. At the tip of the frontal lobe, the prefrontal cortex is the part of the frontal lobe that is responsible for decision making, planning, and social behavior. And would you look at that? We can also use the prefrontal cortex to help explain why I think the noises are just so funny. Also use the prefrontal cortex for decision making, planning, and social behavior.
Finally got 0 viewers. It's a bit now since I know more people in the air. Let's continue. What? 0 viewers now. They left. You're a whole ass girl, boy.
No, they left because I left.
Oh, they left. You left like a lot earlier. Your sis is cute.
Girl!
You're cute. Is she a girl? Where's his sis? Who's she? Your sis? Funny.
What about Berserk? It's traumatizing. Never watched that. I was traumatized like for 4 days.
I wonder if I still 2012. Livestream is going pretty well. Not as well as I wanted to, but it's going well nonetheless. There's this video up.
And would you look at that? We can also use the prefrontal cortex to help explain social behavior. And would you look at that? We can also use the prefrontal cortex to help explain why I think the noises are just so funny. Except, they are starting to get a little less funny when they're being used against me. When I bleeped out the words, your prefrontal cortex was at work, quickly assessing the situation, determining that the words being bleeped out were likely inappropriate. The prefrontal cortex helps regulate our responses and maintain social norms, which is why you found the bleeps amusing. It's your brain recognizing that something is being intentionally censored. Now, this area of the brain is not fully developed until about our mid-20s. Maturing can be seen as a result of our prefrontal cortex developing its ability to better regulate the emotionally charged impulses from the amygdala, leading to more controlled and thoughtful responses as we grow older. Located at the back of the frontal lobe is the motor cortex, which is responsible for our planning and executing of voluntary movements.
Oh, I'll be right back. All right, so let's take a little break, and I'm back. Wait, still got 2 viewers? No way. Oh, they just disappeared. Oh, hello, one viewer.
Just behind the motor cortex, at the front of the parietal lobe, lies the somatosensory cortex. This area processes sensory information from across the body, creating somatosensory cortex. This area processes sensory information from across the body.
What? What? Then close it.
No, it's coming out from the top.
All right, I'm for sure back this time, guys. Oh, we still got one viewer. How do I zoom out? Okay. Let me try something. There we go. That's better. Let me start video.
Creating a sensory map that aids our understanding of the physical environment. If your research on the brain has a sensory, this area processes sensory information from across the body, creating a sensory map that aids our understanding of the physical environment. If your research on the brain hasn't brought up this horrifying visual yet, well, here you go.
What the hell?
Absolutely terrifying. So yeah, that guy represents the areas of the body the somatosensory cortex influences the most. Broca's area, located for most people on the left hemisphere of the frontal lobe, it is responsible for our speech production, helping us form words and sentences more effectively. Another key language area, Wernicke's area, situated in the left hemisphere's temporal lobe, is essential for language comprehension. It's going to process both spoken and written forms, enabling us to understand others when they speak to us. And while we're on the topic of language, let's talk about something called aphasia. So damage to either Broca or Wernicke's area can lead to issues in our ability to produce or understand speech. As we just learned, our brain can have issues of its own, which unfortunately can speech. As Wernicke's area, let's talk about something to understand others when they speak to us. It's both spoken and written forms, enabling us to understand others when they speak to us. And while we're on the topic of language, let's talk about something called aphasia. So damage to either Broca or Wernicke's area can lead to issues in our ability to produce or understand speech. As we just learned, our brain can have issues of its own, which unfortunately can impact our daily lives. Oftentimes, an overactive corpus callosum that is uncontrollably firing message between the two hemispheres of the brain can cause epileptic seizures to occur. As a result, scientists came up with the split brain procedure, where they cut the corpus callosum, making communication from left and right hemisphere impossible. Although it may seem to be a bit extreme, the split brain procedure has proven to be highly effective in significantly reducing the frequency of epileptic seizures. Additionally, it has taught us a lot about the distinct specializations of each brain hemisphere. Cortex specialization highlights the distinct functions of different cerebral cortex regions. For example, the left hemisphere primarily manages language tasks such as speech and comprehension, while the right hemisphere excels in spatial reasoning and facial recognition. Now, I'm sure you've heard how the right hemisphere of the brain controls the left side of the body, while the left hemisphere of the brain controls the right side of the body. This is actually true, and we refer to this as contralateral hemispheric organization. And while we don't know it's true for this, scientists have hypothesized that this part of our brain evolution helps our brain in processing information and motor responses in a more efficient way. And while on the topic of brain injuries, it's also important that we understand brain plasticity, which is a pretty cool process where our brain is constantly changing its structure and functions as a result of injury or learning. Functional plasticity is our brain's ability to shift specific functions from a damaged area to a non-damaged area, helping us recover from brain injury. While structural plasticity is the brain's remarkable ability to change its physical structure through learning and experience. The brain is constantly strengthening connections between neurons and creating pathways in response to our learning. And now to answer the question you are all probably wondering, how do we know all we know about that wrinkled little guy we call the brain? Well, in the later half of the 20th century, we saw the invention of brain scans, which gave us a sneak peek of the inner workings of the brain. The fMRI measures brain activity by detecting changes in blood flow, highlighting areas that consume more oxygen during active mental processes. This technology allows us to identify which brain regions are involved in various cognitive and sensory activities. The EEG utilizes electrodes placed on the scalp to measure the brain's electrical activity. Although it doesn't offer a visual image of the brain, the EEG is invaluable for analyzing the timing of brain responses, enabling researchers to see how quickly the brain reacts to various stimuli and activities. Before these scans were invented, there were
Oh, shoot, I knew
to answer the question you are all probably wondering. How do we know all we know about that wrinkled little guy we call the brain? Well, in the later half of the 20th century, we saw the invention of brain scans, which gave us a sneak peek of the inner workings of the brain. The fMRI measures brain activity by detecting changes in blood flow, highlighting areas that consume more oxygen during active mental processes. This technology allows us to identify which brain regions are involved in various cognitive and sensory activities. The EEG utilizes electrodes placed on the scalp to measure the brain's electrical activity. Although it doesn't offer a visual image of the brain, the EEG is valuable for analyzing the timing of brain responses, enabling researchers to see how quickly the brain reacts to various stimuli and activities. The EEG is electrical activity. EEG utilizes electrodes placed on the scalp to measure the brain's electrical activity. Although it doesn't offer a visual image of the brain, the EEG is invaluable for analyzing the timing of brain responses, enabling researchers to see how quickly the brain reacts to various stimuli and activities. Before these scans were invented, there were still a few ways to study the brain. Lesioning studies occur when an area of the brain, usually an animal, is intentionally damaged in order to observe the damage's effect on behavior. Researchers can then see how this brain lesioning impacts individual behavior and mental processes. Case studies typically involve observing unique cases of individuals with naturally occurring brain damage due to accidents, strokes, or disease. By studying the changes in behaviors and cognitive abilities resulting from the brain damage, researchers can predict the function of the damaged brain area. Now, as we further explore the brain, it is important to understand not just its structures, but also how it controls our level of consciousness. Consciousness refers to our awareness of our own mental processes and the external environment. It's what you're hopefully using right now to listen to me and I'm saying. Consciousness works on a spectrum that is constantly changing. The two levels of consciousness we switch between the most are going to be wakefulness and my favorite pastime, sleep. Our body's sleep-wake cycle is controlled by an internal biological clock known as our circadian rhythm. The circadian rhythm runs roughly on a 24-hour cycle and lets us know when it's time to go to sleep and when it's time to wake up. Unfortunately, the demands of our modern world often throw a wrench into this finely tuned system. Factors like jet lag from traveling across multiple time zones, working night shifts, or just not being able to take your phone away from your face can all disrupt our natural rhythms, leading to sleep disturbances. And once we finally do get some sleep, it may be lights out for us, but not so much for the rest of our body. Sleep comes in multiple stages. We have non-rapid eye movement or NREM sleep and rapid eye movement or REM sleep, lasting only a few minutes. Stage 1 NREM sleep is considered light sleep where we can easily be awakened. Our body begins to relax with slow rolling eye movements and reduced muscle activity. During this stage, we may encounter something known as a hypnagogic hallucination, which is just a vivid sensory experience that occur as we drift off to sleep. These hallucinations are often sights or such as flashing colors or hearing your name called. After 5 to 10 minutes in stage 1 NREM sleep, we can now transition to stage 2 NREM sleep. This is where brain activity goes a bit further, and it's going to be marked by specific brain waves such as the sleep spindles and K complexes. Stage is still considered light sleep, but waking up becomes a little more difficult. Stage 3 NREM sleep is characterized by slow delta brain waves. This is our deepest sleep where it is much more difficult to be woken up.
And welcome back to this U.S. Open office plan.
Miller just lobbed a message way over Jones's head using some tech.
This final stage of NREM sleep rejuvenates the body, strengthens the immune system, and consolidates our memories. After cycling through the stages of NREM sleep, we enter REM sleep. Often referred to as paradoxical sleep, REM sleep is marked by an increase in brain activity that is very similar to the brain activity we see while we're awake. Now, a nice little fun fact about REM sleep. When we enter this stage of sleep, a process known as sleep paralysis can occur. When this happens, our muscle movements are suppressed,
We didn't
mainly
even
so
learn
that we
about
don't
this
act out
in
our dreams.
science.
This is a completely normal process
Really
that
wish we
keeps
did
us
know.
safe as we slumber. However, though, it is
Would've
actually
been
possible to
so
wake up
chill.
with sleep paralysis, and this is where our mind is pretty much awake, but our body still thinks it's asleep, and this makes it so we can't move. We can also experience some pretty terrifying hypnagogic hallucinations when this happens. Some UFO abductions have even been disproven just as a case of sleep paralysis. REM sleep plays a crucial role in processing emotions, consolidating memories, and our learning. It's a vital stage of sleep that our brain needs to function effectively while we're awake. If we don't get enough REM sleep, we can experience what is known as REM rebound, where our brain increases the duration of REM sleep to help maintain the balance of our sleep cycles. So as you can see, sleep isn't just a passive state, but it's actually a very active and essential part of our well-being. This can be seen with the restorative theory, which suggests that we sleep because it is important for the physical repair and recovery of our bodies. During sleep, especially NREM3, our body starts to repair body tissues and stimulate. This is why we feel rejuvenated and mentally alert after a good night's rest. The adapt theory is going to explain why we sleep at night. This theory proposes that sleep evolved to enhance our chances of survival. By sleeping, we conserve energy and reduce the risk of encountering danger during our most vulnerable hours, the nighttime. All right, so if we have theories explaining why we sleep, obviously we are going to have some theories explaining why we dream. The activation synthesis theory states that dreams result from the brain's attempt to make sense of the random neural activity we experience during REM sleep. The brain has theories explaining why we dream. The activation synthesis theory states that dreams result from the brain's attempt to make sense of the random neural activity we experience during REM sleep. The brain takes these random signals and arranges them into a story, which we experience as dreams. Meanwhile, the memory consolidation theory suggests that dreams play a critical role in processing and consolidating memory. During REM sleep, the brain sorts through the day's experiences, decides what we're going to keep, and also integrates this information into our long-term memory. So if you have a teacher who told you to make sure you get a good night's rest before a test, well, believe it or not, they weren't wrong. Who would have known? Yeah, teachers can be pretty smart sometimes. All right, so we talked about the stages of sleep, what happens when we sleep, and why we sleep. But what happens when we don't get enough sleep? Something a whole lot of us can probably relate to. Sleep deprivation not only leaves us feeling exhausted, but also has some serious effects on our health and cognitive functions. Physiologically, sleep deprivation can lead to a weakened immune response, making us more likely to get sick, and an increased heart rate. Time can strain the heart, leading to an increased risk of heart disease. Psychologically, it often results in impaired memory and a reduced ability to concentrate, as well as increased irritability and mood swings. Sleep deprivation can come from environmental distractions, our phones being a major culprit, but it can also be the result of a sleep disorder. Insomnia involves difficulty falling asleep or staying asleep, even when we have the chance to do so. Insomnia is often caused by stress and poor sleep habits, and treatment generally includes sleep therapy, improving sleep habits, and some form of medication. Epilepsy is characterized by extreme daytime sleepiness and sudden episodes of falling asleep. Treatments often include medications such as stimulants and antidepressants. REM sleep behavior disorder involves acting out vivid dreams with sudden violent arm and leg movements that can lead to injury during sleep. Treatment typically involves various medications, and in some circumstances, a simple melatonin supplement will do the trick in reducing symptoms. Sleep apnea is caused when blocked airways interrupt breathing during sleep, disrupting REM sleep and reducing overall sleep quality. Common symptoms are going to include snoring and daytime sleepiness. While treatments typically involve lifestyle and dietary changes, some individuals with sleep apnea are given a CPAP machine, and in rare cases, they can elect to have surgery. Somnambulism, or more commonly referred to as sleepwalking, involves getting up and walking around during stage 3 NREM sleep. General treatment for this focuses on safe measures to prevent injuries during episodes, such as locking doors and windows, and in severe cases, medication. All right, so that wraps up sleep. For our final topic of Unit 1, and a beefy one at that, we're going to be talking all about our senses. So sensation is going to be the process of our sensory organs collecting information from our body and the environment and sending this information to the brain for processing. When our collect this information, a process known as transduction occurs, where the physical stimulus, such as light waves, are converted into electrical signals that the brain can understand. To understand how we are able to detect this information, we have sensory thresholds. The absolute threshold refers to the minimum strength that a stimulus has to have in order to be detected 50% of the time. This threshold represents the point at which we can detect and perceive a stimulus from each of our senses. You can even test this out yourself. Set your TV volume all the way to 0, stand a few feet back, and slowly raise the volume until it gets to the point where you can just barely hear it. That would be your absolute threshold for sound. Now, the difference threshold, also known as the just noticeable difference, or JND, is going to be the smallest change in the stimulus that we can detect. Let's say your TV's volume is set to 60% and is increasing incrementally by 1%. The point that you realize that there is a change in volume is going to be your difference threshold. Weber's law states that our ability to detect a change depends on the intensity of the original stimulus. Think about it. It would be much easier to detect a change in volume from 20% to 25% rather than a change from 90 to 95%. We are also going to have sensory adaptation, which is just going to be our brain's ability to decrease its sensitivity to constant stimuli. This response allows us to tune out sensations like the continuous touch of a necklace against our neck or the feeling of our pants against our legs, enabling us to focus on more important changes in our environment that might demand our attention. Another important aspect of sensation, sensory interaction, is the process by which different senses influence and interact with one another in order to enhance our perceptions. A very interesting example being a condition known as synesthesia. The stimulation of one sensory pathway leads to the automatic and involuntary experience of a secondary sensory pathway. People with synesthesia might see a specific color when they hear certain sounds, or might even experience a specific taste when looking at a certain object. Every one of our senses has a sensory receptor. These receptors are just specialized cells within all of our senses that transduce sensory information to the brain. So how about we take a look at each of our senses in order to see how they work, starting with our sense of vision. When light waves from the environment reach our eyes, through a process known as accommodation, the lenses in our eyes change shape in order to focus our vision. This will direct the light to the back of the eye, projecting a clear image onto the retina, which is where sensory receptors for our vision are located. The light is then concentrated on the fovea, allowing for sharp, detailed vision. And finally, the converted signals are sent through the visual nerve to the brain for visual processing. And a cool little fact about the visual nerve, there are actually no sensory receptors there, which leads to a blind spot in our vision. But luckily, this area is rather small, and it's pretty easy for our brain to just fill in the blanks for us. The sensory receptor cells for our vision are the rods and cones. Rods are highly sensitive to light, which helps us see at night, while cones respond to color, allowing us to perceive the wide range of colors that we can. Once light waves reach the retina, the information is processed by the rods and cones. These messages are then filtered through the bipolar to the ganglion cells, which act as our visual nerve, sending the message to the brain. And it then perceive high vision. There are actual neural receptors to the take a look at each of our senses in order to see how they work, starting with our sense of vision. When light waves from the environment reach our eyes, through a process known as accommodation, the lenses in our eyes change shape in order to focus our vision. This will direct the light to the back of the eye, projecting a clear image onto the retina, which is where sensory receptors for our vision are located. The light is then concentrated on the fovea, allowing for sharp, detailed vision. And finally,
I'm guessing it goes to the lens.
signals are sent through the visual nerve to the brain for visual processing. And a cool little fact about the visual nerve, there are actually no sensory receptors there, which leads to a blind spot in our vision. But luckily, the area is rather small, and it's pretty easy for our brain to just fill in the blanks for us. The sensory receptor cells for our vision are the rods and cones. Rods are highly sensitive to light, which helps us see at night, while cones respond to color, allowing us to perceive the wide range of colors that we can. Once light waves reach the retina, the information is processed by the rods and cones. These messages are then filtered through the bipolar cells, then sent to the ganglion cells, which act as our visual nerve, sending the message to the brain. An important aspect of our vision is seeing in color, and we have two major theories that explain how we are able to do so. The trichromatic theory states that we have 3 different types of cones, with each one being sensitive to either red, green, or blue light. According to this theory, the colors we see are a result of the brain processing the different signals that these receptors send when they are stimulated. So if you were looking at something that is purple, both red and blue receptors would activate, allowing our brains to interpret the color accurately. Building on the trichromatic theory, unit process theory proposes that color perception involves neurons in the occipital lobe process colors in opposing pairs of blue, yellow, red, green, black, white. When one color in the pair is stimulated, the other is inhibited. Now, this process isn't when we experience an after image. Stare at the green circle on the screen for a bit and watch what happens when it goes away. If it worked, after the green circle disappears, you should very briefly see an after image of a red. If it worked. If it worked, after the green circle disappears, you should very briefly see an after image of a red circle. This original green circle stimulated the red-green pairing more towards the green side, and then when the stimulus left, there is a momentary rebound effect where we see the opposite color pair. Our sense of sight is a very intricate process, and because sometimes things can go wrong, which can impact our vision. Nearsightedness or myopia occurs when the eye is too long, causing light to focus in front of the retina, leading to blurry vision when looking at faraway objects. Farsightedness or when the eye is too short, causing light to focus behind the retina, leading to blurry vision when looking at objects up close. Colorblindness is the inability to perceive some or all colors. With dichromatism, there is difficulty distinguishing between 2 colors, such as red and green, while those with monochromatism are unable to perceive any color at all, only shades of gray. Prosopagnosia, or face blindness, is a neurological disorder impairing the ability to recognize faces. Those with the condition can see individual features, but struggle to perceive the face as a whole. Blind sight is a condition where individuals can respond to visual stimuli without conscious perception. Clinically blind have issues, not eye issues. Those with blind sight still process visual information, but at an unconscious level. So they can't physically see anything, but their brain can interpret everything that their eyes are picking up. They just can't see it. It's very confusing to me sometimes, but it's real. This one actually blows my mind, I'm not going to lie. All right, so that does it for our vision. Next up, we're going to take a look at another widely used sense, our hearing. When sound waves enter the ear, they strike the eardrum, causing it to vibrate. These vibrations are then transferred to the auditory ossicles, which are small bones in the middle ear that amplify and relay the sound to the cochlea. Inside the cochlea, sensory receptors for hearing, known as hair cells, move in response to the vibration and converts these wave vibrations into neural messages. Pitch is going to refer to how high or low a sound is perceived, depending on the frequency of the sound waves. High frequencies produce higher pitch, while low frequencies produce lower pitches. Amplitude determines how loud a sound is, which is directly related to the energy and intensity of a sound wave. The greater the amplitude, the louder the sound. Sound localization is the ability to determine where a sound is coming from by our brain comparing the differences in timing and intensity of sound waves arriving at each ear in order to pinpoint the location of sound. And just like how our sense of sight had a few theories explaining some of its processes, the same can be said for our sense of hearing. The frequency theory states that the rate of nerve impulses traveling up the auditory nerve matches the frequency of a tone, allowing us to detect its pitch. The Volley theory extends the frequency theory by suggesting that groups of auditory neurons take turns firing in rapid sequence, allowing us to perceive sounds with frequencies higher than 1,000 hertz.
Life's better when you're under our roof. Save up 3% by bundling your home and auto with us.
If you're taking anatomy and physiology for the first time, I can guarantee it's not like any course that you've ever taken. And that's why so many students struggle with it. But what if I...
Which individual neurons state its processes? The same can be said for our sense of hearing. The frequency theory states that the rate of nerve impulses traveling up the auditory nerve matches the frequency of a tone, allowing us to detect its pitch. The Poly theory extends the frequency theory by suggesting that groups of auditory neurons take turns firing in rapid sequence, allowing us to perceive sounds with frequencies higher than 1,000 hertz, which individual neurons can't keep up with. And the place theory is going to argue that different pitches stimulate different areas on the cochlear's basilar membrane, meaning the location where the membrane vibrates the most allows us to distinguish pitch of the sound. Our process of hearing can be interrupted, leading to issues with gathering and perceiving sound waves. Conductive hearing loss occurs when there's a blockage or damage or middle ear that prevents sounds from reaching the inner ear. While not a comfortable feeling, the good news is this type of hearing loss is often corrected. Sensory neural hearing loss results from damage to the inner ear or the auditory nerve itself, often due to aging, noise, exposure, or genetic factors. This type of loss is generally permanent, but can be managed with hearing aids or cochlear implants. Now, when you experience both sensory neural and conductive hearing loss together, it's mixed hearing loss. Now, the next stop on our sensory journey, we're going to take a look at the chemical senses of smell and taste. Our sense of smell, or olfaction, if you want to be fancy, begins when odor molecules from our environment, such as pheromones, bind to our receptor cells responsible for smell, which are located on the olfactory epithelium. Pronounced that one right on the first try. Go me. From the smell into a neural message that gets sent to the olfactory bulb and then relayed to the olfactory cortex of the brain. Now remember, smell is unique among the senses as it skips the thalamus and is processed by the olfactory bulb, which is located within our limbic system. Our next chemical sense and our sense of smell's partner in crime, we have taste. Or for the science nerds out there, gustation. 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 I think gustation's right. When we eat something, the chemicals in the food are broken down by our saliva, and then they get in contact with the taste buds, which are just the restraint, more. It's just the taste of pleasant from person, sort of relaxing the body stimuli, and then cold or hearing. Spinal cord that can logical factors, which is why we might not always feel pain immediately during stress-distracting situations. The mental may still reaches the somatosense, track the position and movement of our body. Body functioning, the kinesthetic and vestibular sense. So our kinesthetic sense detects our body position, weight, and movement of muscles, helping us track the position and movement of our bodies. Proprioceptors located throughout our muscles, helping us track the position and movement of our
aware of body position.
Bodies. Proprioceptors located throughout our muscles and somatosensory cortex moves our circular information about balance and spatial organization. Hair cells located in the semicircular canals of the ear react to changes in head movements and orientation, triggering nerve impulses that mainly get sent to the cerebellum, allowing us to maintain and coordinate balance. And that's all she wrote for Unit 1, and man, oh man, am I worn out. So, if you have any questions about anything mentioned in this video, feel free to drop a comment, and I'll see what I can do to help out. With that being said, I will see you all next time for our Unit 2 review on cognition. Peace.
Who is the best Spider-Man wife? What now? You gotta be going to Stacy. I'm really getting lazy with this. Where's that video? Here it is.
If someone hated ads, here's what they would do. Day 1, they'd install the free ad block extension from Capital One Shopping. No cost, no hassle, just pure browsing freedom. Day 2, they'd enjoy streaming.
So it's likely that you took this class as an AP that everyone said was too easy to be an AP. You've come to the right place because today I'm going to be telling you how to score a 5 on your AP psychology exam. Now this exam actually have a really good pass rate of around 60% and around 19% of students did score a 5 in 2024. Although the pass rate is high, you still need to study and make sure that you are prepared for this exam because you cannot go into it thinking that you are going to magically score a 5. First of all, the most important thing that I can stress about this exam is that it is a game of vocab. This exam is only vocab, not only, but if you've been taking this class, you would know that this exam is vocab. This class revolves around knowing specific vocabulary terms for each unit. If you don't know the word, you're not going to get the question right. Most of these questions do present themselves as scenarios. You'll be given a scenario and you will need to assess it and say, what principle is the scenario showing? It'll show you a picture and ask what kind of Gestalt psychology concept it is. You will have to be able to identify a scenario, picture, data table, a kind of example with a word. It's really important that you memorize this vocab per unit so that it's not too overwhelming and really kind of tie everything together as these can all fit together into one kind of psychological concept. Practice associating these certain words with scenarios. So for example, you could associate conditioning with a real world example that you personally have. So whenever you shake a bag of treats, your cat knows that it is time to eat some treats or whatever else works for you. Just make sure that you are able to tie these vocab terms to real life scenarios. And I cannot stress enough how much this exam is vocab. It is pure memorization. Give yourself the adequate amount of time to memorize this. Don't sit here the night before trying to memorize the entire class's vocabulary list. It's just not going to happen. This class is 100% vocab, and I mean it. To memorize these terms, you can use things like Quizlet, flashcard. Memorize the words unit by unit, and once you think you have all of them down, put them into one big random pile or stack, and then use them that way. So they're coming from all different units so that you are well-rounded for the test. If you don't have Quizlet or flashcards, you can use Anki. I love Anki. I use it for learning German and for other vocabulary terms. I find that it works so much better than Quizlet, and it's free. So if you guys want to go get Anki, you can go ahead and use that for learning your psychology terms. I'll be sure to leave a really good vocabulary list and some good Anki decks that I know in the description, so be sure to check that out. Everything is connected to each other. One unit isn't completely separate from the rest. Each kind of psychology is melded within each other in some way. When you're presented with a question, it could have different aspects, so be sure to have that in your mind, that these questions could ask terms as answers from any unit. Study books. I know that I mention these in every single video, and I always use this one as an example because it's the only study book I kind of use for a reason. Even though study books, so it's likely that
Nope. Or is it tension? What is it? What? Oh my gosh, freaking top down process. A shortcut to compare something. Algorithms. Oh, sure. Did I just spell it wrong? My gosh. Psycho. There we go. Frick. Maybe I'll watch another video later, but I can't do this anymore. Alright, y'all.
What's up, Drewski?
I'm done streaming, bro. I'm not doing this anymore.
Can I do game times? Yes, you can.
I'm about to. No, you smell, cuzzo. Don't touch me. Stop. No, stop. You actually smell. Stop. All right. Let's go. Goodbye. Not because you actually.